What's up, everybody? It's your boy Duty back again with another video, and today I'm taking a look at our boy Phil's level 1 podcast, where he decided to spend almost an hour complaining and moaning and reflecting on Multiverses and why his den heads will not support the game and throw money at him. He's tried to play this game several times, and each time there is just no support, as our boy Phil likes to say, i.e., the den heads aren't throwing cash at him. Yesterday was no exception. Our boy Phil had a rough night. I mean, he was just horrible at the game, one, and two, he just got no support, and it just upset Phil so much. So it made him reflect. I mean, not only did he complain about it during the gameplay stream last night, he dedicated his daily rap to it. And now he's dedicating the vast majority of the podcast to talk about this very issue. So, like I said, Phil spent nearly an hour talking about it. I'm not going to watch the whole thing, I'll bounce around, but it's pretty sad and disgusting. Let's get into it.
People are going to be interested in watching. So I don't know if this is a great time to really be sitting down and saying, oh, let's add in a bunch of games. And then they end up, sitting on the back burner as I play other new releases. I don't know. Okay. The other thing we got to figure out, and this is very important, the fate of Multiversus.
Very important.
We're going to talk about this today because I really don't know what to do about the game. Here's what I mean. I like Multiversus. I'm enjoying it a lot. It's a platform fighter, which I'm not used to playing. I've dabbled in platform fighters over the years, most notably Smash Brothers, which I've played two different ones here in my content and on my streams, but also I played other ones such as PlayStation All-Stars and stuff like that over time. Now, traditionally, they don't last long. And what I mean by that is, if they have single-player content, I usually play through it, all right? And then typically I'll try different characters, play them online for a little bit. And then after playing for, a couple weeks, pretty much it dies out. I lose interest. All right. I am a traditionalist when it comes to fighting games. I do enjoy the traditional 2D plane, 1v1 or 2v2 style action that we've seen, for the longest time. I grew up in arcades playing Street Fighter 2. So obviously there's a reason for that, right? But in the case of Multiversus, all right, I've actively taken the time to try to play it at least twice a week, if not more, to try to play as many of the characters in the game as possible that are available to me, because the way they're doing it is, limited release. Oh, this week 4 characters are available, then a week later another 4 characters are available, and then you can permanently unlock them, but it is a slow grind to do that. So, I'm doing my best to basically learn the game at a slow pace. All right, the game has had rebalance patches and updates and things. And after having played it for about 2.5 weeks now, I can tell you I like the game, and I would like to continue playing it, at least for now, on a regular basis. I do feel like it's a good thing to have this style of game in the rotation. Outside of this game, I'm not playing any multiplayer games right now, besides my weekly Friday night fights, okay? So it's good to have a multiplayer game in the mix, and it's also good to have a game like this where there's a lot of hype behind it, a lot of talk around it. There are a community of people all over the internet that are very excited for it because it is free to play. There's always going to be players playing it.
Phil, so we have come to the enlightened part where you said the right thing. It's free, and that's why you care. You care because, one, it's multiplayer, it's a fighting game, and it's free, and it's something that you can play for a while until whatever the new releases come out, where you don't have to pay any cash, you don't have to pay any money down, you can play for free, and you can reap all the benefits. And that's why you love this game, not because it's fun. It's definitely not because you're good at it. You are terrible at this game, but that's the crux of it. You want to be able to have a game. You thought Halo was going to be that game, where it was going to be season after season. It was first person, it was an FPS. It was, it was free, and you were just gonna milk it until the game died, right? That's why that's what you thought, and that's why you were so salty when Halo multiplayer kind of died, right? And now you see the same thing with Multiverses. You see this free game that's a fighting game, that it's multiplayer, it's online, and you thought you could milk this until, for another 3 to 6 months, and it hasn't happened. The deadheads aren't interested. You're not getting any support whatsoever, and you've resorted to essentially threatening people, to like the stream, which is not a good look, pimp. So let's keep going.
You see? But basically, here's the deal. Whenever I play Multiversus, here's what happens, okay? Views, good. For a night stream, I'm getting over 300 viewers on a stream like that. That's really good. I'm pleased, all right? Engagement, meaning likes and interaction. Good. Last night on the Multiversus stream, we had over 100 likes. People were talking with me in the chat about the characters, about all kinds of stuff. Engagement's great. In fact, I'll be honest, I have a hard time keeping up with the level of engagement that we get during the Multiversus streams, because a lot of the time I'm so focused on playing the game, and you gotta be really focused. It's not like playing a chill game like Toy Story 3 where I can sit back and talk with you guys. It's me going crazy trying to stay alive and trying to win the matches. And let's be honest, I think you guys like the fact that when I play multiplayer games, sometimes things don't go right and I rage, and you like that aspect of it. That's why you like having a multiplayer game in the mix, right? But the one thing that has not been a constant, the one thing that is shocking to me, is the support that I get during the Multiversus streams, all right? I'm not kidding when I tell you right now, out of all the games I'm currently playing, so this includes Final Fantasy VII, Toy Story 3, Dependable Income, 2 Point and Campus, now it's like, wow, and yes, the end of even Friday Night Fights, yet? Out of all those other games I'm playing, shocked. Every one of those games gets more support than Multiverses. When I play Multiverses, it's usually like almost no support. All right, last night, even after having appealed to the audience, telling you guys I really want to keep this game in the rotation, all right, I made $20. Okay. Excuse me. Again, comparing that with all the other things that I currently have in my rotation,
But wait a minute, pimp. Didn't you just said you had over 100 likes, you had 300 people there, you had engagement, you were having a fun, chill time. But just because you didn't make your tip goals, that just kind of derails everything. So essentially what you're confirming is that, your content and your happiness, or your gauge of whether something is great or good or successful, is the tips. So is that what I'm hearing? I mean, I knew that was the case, but I'm glad, you're kind of now trying to admit that. And of course, as always, I always appreciate someone being honest with me. So, Phil, it's been 14 years. You can give up the whole charade and basically just tell everyone where you're coming from. You need that money. You really, really do. You need that money to pay your bills. And we all know it. And, there's no shame in it. I mean, if you do feel shame in it, then maybe you're doing something wrong. Who knows? Let's keep going.
It's crazy that the game doesn't get supported for some odd reason. Okay. It's just confusing. Now, people have had different takes on this. I need that money. I really do. I need that money. Maybe you should actually try moving Multiversus. Really need that money. Really need that. If you had it at a longer session, maybe a different. I need that money. I really do. I need that money. You'd have more support. I don't know about that. I mean, we could try it for sure, but I'm not necessarily 100% sold that simply moving the game to the daytime slot over the nighttime slot is going to completely change the attitude when it comes to supporting the game. The thing about Multiversus, or the thing about any game that has an online component, all right, and that you're trying to play in any kind of a competitive way, is that those games take more investment and more time and dedication than other games. For example, Toy Story 3 is a game that I can play whenever I want. And I could step away from Toy Story 3 for 2 weeks right now and come back to it later. It wouldn't affect the gameplay whatsoever. It just wouldn't. Okay? Multiversus, if that's a game where I step away from it for several weeks and I come back, okay? That could completely change the quality of me playing the game. People may have learned new strategies. Other characters might have unlocked. The game might have been rebalanced. And if I'm not actively playing it during all that period of time and I miss out on all of that, now I'm behind the curve. And now it's like playing catch up, which just makes it all the more difficult to put out an entertaining stream when you're behind of everyone else, you see? And this is what I've been trying to tell you guys. Over the last several years, when essentially all I really played for fighting games was retro Street Fighter, right?
Wait a minute, Phil. Weren't you the one the other day that said it doesn't matter what you put out there, your deadheads are gonna come and support you either way, right? Didn't you say that? Remember after your closet stream 2, Electric Begaloo? Remember that? Remember those words that came out of your mouth? That it doesn't matter what you do. I mean, you could be sitting on the toilet and your viewers will come out and support you, right? Didn't you say those words? So what's the problem here? Why aren't people supporting you? Either that statement was wrong, or 2, you're terrible at the game. You know, I think it's a combination. You're terrible at the game and you're essentially wrong in what you said. And, you know, there's a third factor too, you know. There's only but so much money your den heads have. You know, that social security check, that welfare check can only stretch but so far. And they have bills and they have to pay those bills. And, you know, they only have but so much money to throw your way. So let's keep going.
And people complained and said, Phil, you'd really do better if you took that expertise you have in fighting games and you applied it to other fighting. And as usual, because there's online lag and fucking things teleporting all over because it uses shitty rollback netcode. And what are you going to do? That's the industry standard. You know my take on rollback netcode. I've talked about it here on the podcast recently, so we don't have to reiterate that, right? But to me, all right, I take a look at all the games I'm playing right now. And I say, Toy Story 3, offline, somewhat narrative based, but, you know, platformer, chill style game. Final Fantasy
Children's
7,
entertainment.
Offline, lengthy JRPG, retro game, chill playthrough. Bassmaster, offline, catching fish while I talk with you guys, chill game. You see the point I'm starting to make here? Like everything I'm doing is an offline, laid back, chill playthrough. Multiversus is the game that's breaking that up. You see?
And you're terrible at the game. You are. I mean, who really wants to see that? I mean, I don't. You're essentially just jumping around mashing buttons. You can hear it and see it. And half the time you weren't even facing your opponents. You know, it seemed like you were a bit delayed with your reaction, and that happens as you get older. That's the problem. I mean, your chat was like laughing at you the way you were playing because you were terrible. It had nothing to do with netcode or whatever. It was you. You're just slow to react.
It's the game that's adding variety right now to the streams when everyone else out there has adopted it as a content creator. I've stood against it, right? I'm very contrarian with a lot of different things out there. I disagree with the mainstream. We know that, right?
Yes, we all know that you have to be the asshole in the group. Where, you know, if 10 people are walking down a path and there's a big huge cavernous hole coming up and someone says, "Hey, be careful! Don't walk down that path. There's a hole." You'll be the one idiot to keep walking and end up falling down the hole. We all know that, Phil.
Right? But it almost seems to me like this is a situation where I'm not being contrarian. As a rare thing, I'm actually enjoying a game that has hype behind it. I'm trying to stay in line with everyone else playing it. But now it's like my viewer base has turned contrarian against me with this game. All right? And as much as you want to argue, well, Smash Brothers is superior, is an older game. It's been out for a few years. All right, right now.
I'm bouncing around because I can't do 2 hours of this horrible stream.
Work to do it because I didn't play the game, fighting games, right? I'm not Maximilian. I can't just jump into a fighting game like him and immediately go crazy, you know, putting out an entertaining stream. It's work for me because I'm not actively in the fighting game community. I'm not following that style of gameplay. You see what I'm saying? It's very different.
So what you're saying is it requires more work and you can't do that? Okay.
But I really feel like that's what's happened is we get people who tend to look at the big guys and say, oh, well, DSP could just do that and just do that. I can't. I'm not them. You understand? Right now, the only way for me to get into a fighting game is to play it as soon as it comes out, stick with it as it evolves from that launch game. And that's what I've been doing with Multiversus. You guys have been asking me for years, play a different fighting game. That's exactly what I'm doing. I took the newest one, right? Now it basically sets me back. And I'll give you a perfect example. Yesterday, the first stream was Final Fantasy VII. It did really good. All right, I did good support. Well, a great engagement. It was a great stream. And then what happened? I had an insanely slow Multiversus stream. And it basically negates the positivity and help of that first stream because now the day overall is just kind of an okay day because it was like a dead late stream for support. And that's the problem. You see?
So the problem is you didn't hit the tier 2 tip goal on both your streams. Is that what you're saying? Okay, because that contradicts everything else you've been saying in the past, where, you know, you don't expect to hit tier 2 tip goal every stream. If you can hit it maybe once, that'll be fine, or every so often. You know, it's about other support like super chats, memberships, likes, engagement. So what you're finally saying, Pimp, is that's all a lie. You really just care about those tips. That's what you care about. Tips are number one. Tips are king. And that's what you want. You don't care about anything else. That's what I'm getting from that, Phil. And for you to sit here and basically just trash your supporters that actually gave you a pretty decent day. I mean, if I'm streaming and I'm making $155, I think that's what you made yesterday in total tips for both streams. That's $75 a stream. I would be grateful, but not you, Phil. You need to spend 1 hour on your podcast analyzing why you're not getting tips for Multiverse. That's what you're doing here. You're essentially having a podcast and conducted an audit on your viewers and their support and trying to browbeat them to figure out why you're not getting tips for this game. Pimp, it's very simple. You suck at this game. 1. 2. Your den heads aren't made of money. They can't keep throwing cash away. They gave you $133 on the first stream. What did you expect them to give you for the second stream? You average on a good day about $150 total tips for the day. That is your normal. And not even your normal. That's a good day for you. What do you expect? Like, oh man, it's just I don't get it, Phil. Anyway, so you guys get the gist of this podcast, and it essentially goes on for about another 45 minutes, where him just essentially browbeating his viewers and trying to get them to understand that you should tip him, and you should tip him often. Why? I don't know why, but essentially that's the message here. Okay, so tip Phil, tip him often, and tip him a lot. All right, people, I gotta get out of here. I can't tolerate this ungrateful tiny man anymore. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Peace out.